In 8th and 9th grade. So yesterday, it's recording, you're going to hear all this noise. Yesterday we said if I have x3 and x4, what does that do? Well, that means I have 3 x's and 4 x's. So all together, we're just adding. That's x3 plus 4, which is x to the 7. So when we divide, 2 to the 6 means I have 2 6 times. Over 2 4 times. But 2 over itself is 1. So what I have left is 2 to the 2nd. So when you look at the 6, 4, and 2, how do I get 2 from 6 and 4? Just minus. That's all you do. Yep, you subtract the exponent. So yesterday we were adding, today we're multiplying. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. Anything over itself is 1. So I'm left with x to the 8 minus 3 is x to the 5th. It's just about subtracting the exponents . So part of what you learn in math is to be able to read generic math or basic math. So that looks confusing because it doesn't have any numbers. But what this means is I have 2 variables. I'm sorry, 1 variable, because that's the same, to 2 different exponents. That's why there's an m and an n. It just means they're different exponents. So that just means that I subtract them. Quotient is a fancy word for divide. So over here, this becomes x to the 9 minus 5, which is x to the 4. That's it. Now there is one that's a little tricky. Anytime that you have anything to the power of 0, it equals 1. Well, why? So when I do this, this is y to the 3 minus 3. So we're subtracting. That's y to the 0. And I told you the rule says that it has to equal 1. How does that make sense? Well, y to the 3rd is y times y times y over y times y times y. And anything over itself is 1. So that's 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So that's why it works. When you divide something by itself and you get a 0, that equals 1. Monomial is a word that means one term. So mono is one term. Poly is many. Spelled that wrong. So to divide monomials, we divide the coefficients. That's the number in front of the variable. And then when you have variables with the same base, you subtract the exponents. So what that means is that I compare the k's. For number 2, I look at the a's and I look at the b's separately. So all we do is subtract the exponents. So k to the 12th over k to the 2nd becomes k to the 12 minus 2, which is k to the 10. That's it. All you're remembering is that you subtract... What are you doing to my flash water? That you subtract the exponents to get k to the 2nd. Sorry, k to the 10th. But when I have multiple variables, it just means that I need to compare the ones that have the same base. So this is a to the 6 minus 2, b to the 4 minus 4. So that's a to the 4, b to the 0, That's A4 times 1, which becomes A4. You don't have to write all this down, but you do need to be able to understand it so that you can use it in other parts of the problems as well as the assignments for this week. So number 3 takes us to the coefficients. So this is the same as 6 over 2, so 6 divided by 2, and then it's x4 minus 3. You break it into the pieces that you can do. Turn right back around. So what's 6 divided by 2? 3. And 4 minus 3 is x to the 1, and I can just rewrite that as 3x. We're just trying to simplify these expressions as basic as we can. Now, when we look at number 4, that has big big coefficients. Oh, no, I'm not going to have enough. You're going to share today. There's one right there. Turn right back around, sir.
Oh, you're doing it fast?
No, but you still got to turn right back around. You're going to share today.
Wow, my lunch break.
Yes, but we're working. All right. I want you to find 36
I know her husband.
and find 36 and 54. Share.
54 is not good.
All right. So I don't know a number quickly that divides into both 36 and 54. Not the biggest one. So how did you find that? Did you look at the list or did you already know? You knew it? See? You're smarter than me. So when you look at the list, when you look at 36 and 54, how many factors do they have in common? Count how many numbers are the same between 36 and 54.
Four.
Is it 5 or 6?
Oh, 6.
Is it 6?
No. Oh, 5.
Is it 5 or no? Is it 5 or 6?
6.
Is it 6? Yeah, because
Yeah,
one
yeah,
counts.
6.
So what's the biggest one that they have in common? 18.
Here.
So I can divide, thank you. I can divide 18, divide both numbers by 18. 36 divided by 18 becomes negative 2. And 54 divided by 18 becomes 3. And then I have x 9 minus 3, y 5 minus 2.
Are you going to open this?
Not today. Mañana.
Can I get one?
No. Because you're going to see me except you want food.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. All right. So then I reduce negative 2 over 3, x6, y3. What happens when you have a fraction with more than one term in the denominator? This is how we divide by terms. Those two things, because they're separated by pluses or minuses, are different terms.
So you don't have no food in here? There ain't no chips or nothing?
So that becomes negative 20x squared over 5x minus 5x over 5x. All I did was break that into two separate pieces. So that becomes negative 4x minus 1. It just is more simple, less complicated, less mess to look at and deal with as we go through if I needed to substitute or solve for something. All right. Same thing here. This becomes 10x squared over 5 plus 5x over 5 minus 15 over 5. So when I simplify, 2x squared plus x minus 3. You can even use that blue sheet for small numbers like 16 and 12. If you just can't think of it or you just don't want to worry about it, just look at the sheet and you should be able to see that I can divide all of those numbers by 4. 16y6 over 4y2 minus 12y4 over 4y2 plus 4y2 over 4y2. So then you go through and say 16 divided by 4 is 4. Y6 minus Y2 is Y4. 3 Y2 plus 1. Shh. All right, last one. I'm sorry. You good? Okay. All right, now look at this one. There's a lot there. But when we break it up, the second one is super easy. I can see that everything is the same, so it just becomes a 1. And when I do the first one, 14 divided by 7 is negative 2. 12 minus 2 is 10. And y2 minus y2 is 0. So look how much simpler that looks and less messy to be able to solve. So today, that's how you divide monomials. Yesterday, we practiced multiplying them where we added. And today, when you divide, you subtract.